Hello, fellow teachers. My name is Warren Hammond from the Teacher Trainers channels. With so many students all over the world studying IELTS, I am here to share some awesome study tips and habits, not just for students, but also for teachers. Let's get stuck in. Lists of vocabulary. This is the first one. For you students out there, all you hardworking IELTS test takers, are you writing long lists of vocabulary based on different topics like, for example, technology or science, food, countries and cultures perhaps? And then you've got all these lists of long lists of just vocab, maybe the definition, the mother tongue meaning right next to it, for example. What happens with that list? Do you use it? Or do all these words just kind of disappear and stay sleeping, inactive in the back of your mind? Probably that. So what's happening here is that you're not using these words. What you can actually do is instead grab that notebook, restart it. Create another page that actually you use whilst you're watching some kind of movies, video clips, or even music. Grab it, and then when you hear it, repeat the word and the sentence, plus how it is used. Note it down, put next to it maybe the definition, for example. Now what you're going to improve here is actually your vocab, grammar, writing, maybe even your accent, listening skills as well. What this is going to do for you guys is it will help you create your own lists of useful vocabulary, words that you actually know and that you want to learn and use. If you do this and you start getting the hang of this, you're going to find that you're going to start becoming on your way to becoming an independent learner. That tip is coming up later. All right, teachers, your turn. For your part, what you guys want to do is basically show them that exact same example that we had for the students, but do this in class. So how you can do this is you can grab your favorite clip or song, lyric, something in a source that you like, TED Talks video even, and basically show them how it's done. I'm going to give you a quick example here from a movie I like and an interesting kind of word. I hope you know it. So you might play this clip on the TV or screen and then repeat that part. Okay, class, without wands, please. Nice and loud and listen clearly. Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Without wands, please. After me. Ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Very good. A little louder. Very clear. Listen. Ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
This class is ridiculous.
Very good.
That's ridiculous. That's the word ridiculous. Now you might have them write it down, note it down, repeating after you, getting that tone of voice, and then actually making some example sentences with your student. Okay. The second part to this, teachers, is actually to make sure that you have a part in your lesson that you can allocate a bit of time for this, for your students to come and show you all the vocab that they've picked up themselves. My suggestion here is actually to replace your warm-up section or perhaps maybe putting it at the end. You guys are going to be really surprised at the array of vocabulary and colorful vocabulary that your students are going to pick up. Try it. All right, for now, let's go over to the second part. The second part is recycle, reuse, and repeat, just as we have up here. And we're going to do this first for our students. For your students there, all you IELTS learners out there, for you guys, with all of the lists of vocabulary that you have, whether they are the ones that you guys have been noting down all through your notebook, or if they're some of the new ones. It could also be some of the grammar that you're using, some really difficult points, some easy points, some points that you're struggling with perhaps. Put these all down on a nice grid, on a piece of paper. Write them all down. Cut them all up. Cut them all up and pop them into a little cup. Have them into your cup somewhere where you exit your house. All right, students? So basically what you're going to do is walk past this cup every time you're leaving your house or about to brush your teeth. Grab one of these pieces of paper. It might have a bit of vocab on them, it might have a bit of grammar on them. Grab it and practice that sentence. Use that word or the grammar in a real life sentence. Just do this twice a day and you guys are going to be amazed how many new words and vocab and grammar that you can actually remember and use a lot better. Anything you're not sure about, put it aside and you can come back to it later to revise. Teachers, your turn. For you guys, do the same. Do exactly the same, but in class. How can you do this, guys? With your activities, with exercises, role plays, anything like this that's going to incorporate all that vocab and grammar. Now, using activities like this one, guess words, is going to really help all your students with, again, revising that vocab, revising grammar, and putting it into real kind of contexts that maybe they will see in the actual IELTS test. All right, guys, check out this clip. I'll see you over at tip number 3.
The sky is the time, the weather is cloudy, raining. The sunny. Today is raining.
Welcome back, guys. I hope you enjoyed the guess words clip. If you haven't tried that in your classes, give it a shot. It's an awesome activity, practicing all those skills simultaneously. Give it a try. For now, know the test, know the criteria. First, for all you students out there, if you're really trying to practice or choose an IELTS center, just be careful about those places that go and tell you like, you can go for a 4.5 to a 6.5 in a really short time, and maybe you're just a beginner, for example. Be careful, right? So there are many factors to this that you really need to consider in order to make sure that you choose the right place to study and you know what you're getting yourself into. Things like study time, habits, your strengths and weaknesses, even the way that the teacher at that place teaches you. All of these things kind of come into account. So most students, I'm sure, most of you guys have actually learned a little bit about the IELTS test. You kind of know exactly what the test requires. You know that the speaking part's 3 parts and it's around about under 15 minutes. The writing, there's a section there that's a task 1 and a task 2. The reading part is 40 questions, all different types, multiple choice and sentence completion, all of this kind of stuff. But if you don't know this and you're about to dive into the test, guys, please make sure that you go and do a little bit of research online, okay? British Council and IDP, places like this will actually give you some really good information, but there's a whole other bunch of resources out there that will really give you a better, clearer picture about what to expect before you start thinking about taking the IELTS test. For you teachers, know the criteria. This is the part that's really important for you guys. The criteria sheet, right? The rubric basically is what we're talking about here, right? So knowing the rubric, of course, as teachers, we must know this. However, to be able to share this with your students and let them know exactly what they need to do or for each of the part, like for example, in the writing section, you need to really know like exactly how to achieve the task, the word count. In the grammar, range, and accuracy section, we need to know exactly what types of grammar is expected for this IELTS band score, 5.0, for example, okay? So I'm gonna show you guys, I'm gonna take you over to the next little station. We'll take a seat and we'll go through this criteria in a simplified version. Come with me. Okay, students and teachers of the IELTS test system. Guys, we'll start with the students first with this, become an independent learner. This is the 4th and final one, the study habit and tip for you guys. For this one, are you the kind of student who kind of learns by heart, like rote memorization kind of learning? If you are, be very careful about this. It's gonna turn you into a little bit of a robot when you answer. All your answers will be kind of very rigid and exactly the same kind of structure all the time. So be really careful about this. The best English users that I've met in all my teaching experiences are the ones that not only think in English, but even dream in English. A quick little anecdote for you guys. There was this guy that I used to buy broken rice from off the street. Now, I used to go and speak to him and I'd order rice in Vietnamese all the time. I would speak Vietnamese in my broken Vietnamese, but I'd use it and I'd speak to him and try and order some food. One day I walked up to this guy and he actually, I asked him as I normally did in Vietnamese, and he responded to me in nearly perfect English. Now this is after a couple of years of going to visit this guy. I had no idea this guy spoke any English at all. I asked him. And he shared things like, all I do is watch movies, man. All I do is check out, listen to music, and just kind of, that's it. And I just sort of listen and repeat and practice it that way. But I've met so many students like this that are just incredible. They just love it. They immerse themselves in the language. So that's what you guys need to do. As an IELTS learner, you do need to be flexible because there are all bunch of different types of questions out there that you're gonna get. So guys, students, use these tips. And I promise you're going to become a lot more better in English and better in IELTS, and basically a lot more flexible in your use of natural English language. For you teachers, of course, there's a whole list and range of things we can do, but let's start with just a couple of listing down a few here. So, plenty of practice. giving your students plenty of practice. This could be in the form of the activities that we learned earlier, or exercises that we can do in classes, role plays, examiner versus student type role plays, again, mock tests as well. Guiding your students and not just kind of telling them the answer. I've seen many teachers that just go, here's the answer, just do this and you'll be fine. Not quite correct. You have to actually try and guide them. Don't just tell them the answer. Feedback, we just went through this in the previous tip. Criteria sheets, use these kinds of sheets. Give your students as much feedback as possible. I promise you guys that it's only gonna help them. The more constructive this feedback is, the better their performances are going to be. Next one is that not all students are the same, right? So we must personalize our ways of teaching so that we make sure that each student gets the type of attention they need. Last couple, motivate your students, right? It's an IELTS test that's not the most fun in the world, but you can make it a little bit more interesting by giving them different resources, different materials, things that are a little bit more interesting to them at times. And finally, making it a rewarding experience. If you can really make this experience of studying and learning a fun one and getting them to kind of realize their progress and that they're getting better and using words more correctly and their writing structure is better, all of these things. If you can make this experience rewarding, setting little mini targets for them, good stuff. Give that all a try. All right, guys, thank you very much. I hope these tips and all these study habits for the teachers and the students, I hope they all work out for you guys. Give them a try, implement them in your classes. For now, all the best on your IELTS test, students. Best of luck achieving that target score. For all you teachers out there with your tough job of teaching your learners this difficult IELTS test, best of luck to you guys too. Guys, my name is Warren Hammond from the Teacher Trainers channel, signing out. I'll see you guys next class. Happy teaching. Just make sure you like and subscribe and watch our videos. There's plenty more to come.